All right, we are back, and it is time for the winners and losers segment of the Let's Ride podcast. This is not a fun one. They haven't been that much fun. They've lost, I think, 5 out of the last 7 games, and then we have 1 winner and 12 losers. Let's start off with the winner. Winner, singular. I had to put this out on Twitter during the game. I said, guys and gals out there, I'm struggling. Who should be the winner? And we had some good people that were brought up. Hey, what about Darnell Washington? He made a couple good catches. Sure. He also had one drop that hit him right in between the 8 and the 0. Some people said Joey Porter Jr. is having a pretty good game. Sure. He's having a pretty good couple weeks. He's really starting to stack some good games together. But really, I don't know if I could pick anyone from the defense when the defense plays as poorly. And kudos to Joey Porter Jr. for improved tackling in the open field, by the way. You know who I went with for my winner? I'm going to tell you who I went with for my winner. I teased this in the first half. The fans in attendance of the game. The fans in attendance making their voice heard. You're the winner. And I'm going to tell you why you're the winner. If in case you didn't know this, there were multiple Fire Tomlin chants, and that's fine. There's a lot of people that say, that's such a bad look. Well, you know what? Those people that are there that are paying to see this product, they have every right, in my opinion, to voice their opinion on the organization, on the team, all of it. I'm not going to be mad at them for going to a game and booing because the product is not up to snuff, at least up to their standard. But it was when Renegade played in the fourth quarter, and the fans booed it. They booed Renegade. And if you're thinking this was just a smattering of fans, no, it was not. And for the people that said, the Fire Tomlin stuff was just a couple sects of the fans base, no, it was loud. And also, kudos to my buddy, my friend Chris Carter of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, who had the cojones, the only one there that had the cojones, to actually ask Mike Tomlin after the game what he thought of the Steelers fans chanting Fire Tomlin after the game. And Tomlin's response was something along the lines of, I feel their pain, whatever that means. They're telling you they want you gone and you feel their pain. You feel their frustration, but you don't know what they're feeling. And so this is a situation where the only winner, in my opinion, are the fans that were there and made their voice heard. Good for you. I'm not trying to say, the whole putting up billboards in town, I'm not so much keen on that. But for fans, putting out their displeasure, saying, doing it in a public manner like that, good for you. Because I'm not there. I can't do it. You did. Congratulations. You at least got them talking about it. So that's the winner list. Let's go to the losers. The Steelers' run defense is an obvious loser, and it's the top of the list for a reason. The Buffalo Bills carried the ball 51 times. I'm going to say that again. They carried the ball 51 times. They carried it 51 times for 249 yards. They averaged 4.9 yards per carry for one rushing touchdown and a 31-yard long. But it's like a bad infomercial. But wait, there's more. The Buffalo Bills also made some history. They surpassed 240 rushing yards, marking the most rushing yards in Pittsburgh by an opposing team since 1975. And who was that team in 1975, you ask? On September 28th, it was the Buffalo Bills, who rushed for 310 yards in 1975. This was a historic loss for all the wrong reasons, and the Steelers' run defense was paramount in that effort. When you hear someone like TJ Watt after the game say, I've never seen so many times in the NFL a team run the same exact play and have success, what else needs to be said? The players can't execute the plan. The coaches can't put a plan together to stop it. And it is rinse and repeat. The Steelers' run defense, they are by far the biggest loser. Now let's go to the pass rush. Talked about TJ Watt. The whole group. Alex Highsmith was back. Nick Herbig was healthy. TJ Watt was healthy. Jack Sawyer, the whole defensive front outside of Derek Harmon. They have 0 sacks and 1 quarterback hit. But it's not so much that they didn't register a sack or that they only registered 1 quarterback hit, which was Patrick Queen, by the way. It was that they were doing it against an offensive line that was without their top 2 tackles and a banged-up center who got injured during the game, kept playing through it. It was just not good enough. Now, on the post-game show, kudos to Dave Schofield, who said, well, they're running the ball so well, it's tough to pin your ears back. There were times they had him in 3rd and long. There were times they had Josh Allen bottled up, and he escaped. They couldn't bring him down. That's not okay. That's not good enough. When Ben Roethlisberger was doing this to teams back in his prime, you think the other teams are saying, well, Josh Allen's Ben Roethlisberger's tough to bring down. Yeah, he's tough to bring down, but you still got to do it. The pass rush that they pay so much money towards, and TJ Watt, who they pay so much money towards, $41 million in new money per year, not good enough. Loser list. We continue. Let's go to the Steelers quarterback play. How about these numbers for combined quarterback play? Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph combined for 10 completions, 10 out of 24 attempts, 108 total yards, 4.9 average, no touchdowns, 1 interception, a sack for 9 yards, and a quarterback rating of 39.7. I'm going to say this about Aaron Rodgers real quick. If Aaron Rodgers couldn't play last week because of his wrist, how in the hell can he play this week? Now, Dave Schofield has told me on more than one occasion that he's broken bones and, that the swelling is down, the pain management. I get all that. The guy couldn't take a snap under center. That is, for me, if I was the head coach, the guy can't take a snap under center, he can't be the quarterback. We just can't do this. We can't have our running backs getting handoffs 7 yards deep almost. It can't work this way. We need to have a quarterback under center. So we're going to have to roll with Mason Rudolph and Will Howard as QB2. You're just going to have to do it that way. And instead, they throw Aaron Rodgers out there. And I'm not so sure, because I was just watching for the TV. If that was a brace, that was one big flipping brace. That looked like a cast to me. And I see that and think, this guy can't hand the ball off with his left hand that way. I just don't fathom, if you're going to play him in this state, then you play him last week in this state. Is it going to be any different? He's not going to be under center. He's not going to be able to hand off the ball with the left hand. It's the same thing. This just typifies my frustration with the coaching staff, with the decisions that are being made. And the quarterback play was also not good. Aaron Rodgers missed on some early throws. Mason Rudolph throws an interception, overthrowing Darnell Washington. It just kept on getting out of control. And it starts with the quarterback play for sure. Let's go to the next loser, the total offense. So this was a run defense, mind you. A run defense in the Buffalo Bills that was the 30th ranked run defense. I said it. Other people said it. Run it on them. Keep running it on them. The Steelers had a total of 166 total yards, 108 passing, and 58 rushing. They could only garner 58 rushing yards. The Buffalo run defense was giving up 148.9 yards per game this season. I will say that again, 148.9 yards per game this season. The Steelers were only able to rush for 58 yards. For all the issue with the defense, the running defense, the rush defense, all that stuff, this was a complete failure on the offensive side of the ball as well. Because I don't care who the quarterback is. I know that they're without Broderick Jones. We'll talk about the injuries coming up. But my gosh, you can't run the ball on this defense. That says something. Let's continue. I have Cam Hayward on the loser list. So Cam Hayward, I don't even care about his stat line. It's not about his stat line. Cam Hayward's on the loser list because this guy, people call him Captain Cam. Captain Cam. Walter Payton Man of the Year, Cam Hayward, for sure. He does some great work in the community. I'm not taking away from there. Anyone notice how Cam Hayward got completely unhinged during the game by something that Josh Allen did? What was that? Now, I haven't heard or seen what might have been said or done during that scrum that got Cam so hot and bothered. But you would think that at some point, as a veteran on this football team, you would know that even something egregious, you have to be able to compartmentalize and not get called for a taunting penalty after your defense just got scored on. Call it taunting, call it a personal foul, whatever, unsportsmanlike. I don't care. It was stupid. It was idiotic. How are you going to go up and jaw at someone and get in their face when they just scored on you? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Cam Hayward just completely unhinged. And I wouldn't put it behind Josh Allen. Whatever he said, whatever he did, might have been purposeful. Who knows? Let's continue. This next loser is the start of the third quarter. This might get lost in the shuffle, but the Steelers actually held a lead heading into halftime. They were up 7-3. What happens? Okay, Steelers getting the ball. They had just given up that field goal. That's okay. You have a 7-3 lead. You get the ball in the third quarter. Let's go make something happen. So what do? Return, first play from scrimmage, sack, fumble, scoop, score. Holy crap. That was awful. But we're only down by 3. 10-7. A lot of time left. Get the ball back. Return. Aaron Rodgers isn't ready. Mason Rudolph comes in. Run the ball. Throw. What happens? Interception. What in the hell is happening? You can see how that all transpired. The third quarter was complete disaster. They got outscored 13-0, but let's not forget they were punching it into the end zone right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So it's more like 20-0. Just awful. That third quarter, forgettable doesn't even start to describe that third quarter. Let's continue with the losers. Injuries. There's more added to the list. Patrick Queen, he has a hip contusion. He was unable to run, so he was unable to play. James Pierce in the NFL's concussion protocol. And let's also not underscore, they were without Derek Harmon, who has a knee injury, and Broderick Jones, who's on injured reserve with a neck injury. It's funny. This is the second time, and I hear people say this all the time, stinger. Oh, it's just a stinger. It's just a stinger. There's a report by Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that Broderick Jones' season is done. And I don't know if this is something much more serious, but you're talking about a head and neck injury. That's nothing to mess around with. Like, this guy, I don't know if his career's in jeopardy, but we just saw this with Brian Watts, who had to medically retire. And that was because of a stinger in the preseason. The injuries just keep piling up. It's at the completely wrong time. Definitely a loser. Next, let's go to the time of possession. The Pittsburgh Steelers possessed the ball. Yes, this is a full game now, mind you. 60 minutes, 18 minutes and 1 second. They possessed the ball for 18 minutes and 1 second. So when you're about to say that by far the defense was worse than the offense, keep in mind that the offense only held the ball for 18 minutes through 4 quarters of play. And you might know why the defense was a little gassed and a little bit stretched thin, if you want to put it that way. The time of possession was skewed heavily in Buffalo's favor. 18 minutes. That's it. Let's continue. The penalties. The Steelers were penalized less than the Buffalo Bills in terms of quantity of penalties. Buffalo was penalized 7 times, Pittsburgh 5. But the Steelers were penalized for more yardage, 67 yards. They were so undisciplined. Whether it was DK Metcalf, who just seems to constantly get into scrums after plays. Cam Hayward, I already mentioned that penalty. You had Peyton Wilson get a personal foul call. You had another defensive line reserve player have a penalty, a personal foul penalty. I don't care if the penalties were bogus or whether they should or shouldn't have been called. It's undisciplined behavior. It's not having your team buttoned up to the point that they are not going to fall for some of these antics by the opposition to bait you into it. It's unbelievable. This has been a theme with this team, and it doesn't just say like something about the offense or the defense or the players on the field. It says a lot about the coaching staff and a lot about how they handle certain things. It's funny. It's funny to me that earlier this week, Aaron Rodgers was talking to the staff, or he's talking to the media, I'm sorry. And he was talking about how really, I'm just going to save it. This is my next loser. I almost forgot. My next loser is the quote unquote loose Steelers. So as I was alluding to just a second ago, Aaron Rodgers was talking to the media and they were saying, hey, things haven't been going great. You lose in Chicago. You still have an option with the division. And Aaron Rodgers goes, I appreciate how loose this team is, but there are times where you have to tighten it up. And I heard that. And some people might have just kind of poo-pooed that. Nah, it's nothing. I heard that and said, did he just say what I think he said? Did he just say that I know that the Steelers are like just basically a really loose team in terms of how they handle things, that it's a really loose ship. They let guys just do kind of whatever. And he's saying you can't always do that. It's showing. That's the stat line. It's showing. It is showing that the Steelers are not that tight. We're going to do things the right way. And Mike Tomlin has never been that guy. And that's one of the redeeming qualities for the players that they like about Tomlin. He's a more lenient guy. He's a little bit more loose than other coaches are. Aaron Rodgers is alluding to that maybe that's not always the great thing. Maybe that's not always the best thing for the team. Didn't know if you knew that. Let's go with we have two more losers here. The coaching staff is the next loser. The stat line is it's not good enough from top to bottom. From Mike Tomlin, the guy making all the final decisions with the game plan, with the preparation, with the practice, all of it, to the coordinators on down. From top to bottom, this stretch has been a complete and utter failure. On offense, you can't say, well, the Steelers didn't do X, Y, or Z because of this injury, that injury. Sure, you didn't have Rodgers in Chicago, and you missed Broderick Jones in this game, but that's really it. They've had their team. They've had their offense. The offense they've been working on since Latrobe training camp in July and August. What is going on? Like, they can't put it all together. This coaching staff, and don't get me started on the defense. I already mentioned what TJ Watt said. They've ran the same play over and over again. They couldn't stop it. Where's the coaching staff? I know you can't change your roster, but you better have something. You got to have something to do something different. This coaching staff is an utter failure from top to bottom. Last one is the last loser, 2025 season hopes. The stat line is it's fleeting at best. Fleeting means it's short last. It's not going to last long. And the reason is that, again, my tipping point has been reached. And you see it. The last time I felt like this watching the Steelers, do you know where I was? I was here, the same location, watching the same defense, not the same defense. There's some differences there. I was watching this defense get completely shredded and run all over by the Baltimore Ravens in the wildcard round of the 2024-2025 AFC playoffs. I feel the exact same way. And here we are. What are we going to talk about? We're talking about week 14 at Baltimore. If they win that game, they have the edge in the division. Yeah, they do. Does anyone actually think anything's going to be different? Even if they win the division, the AFC North is not getting two representatives in the playoffs, just so you know. But even if they win, does anyone think it's going to be different? You think they're going to go to LA, to Denver, to New England, and win one of these games? Nope. Do you think they're going to they'll host a game if Buffalo comes back? Think they're going to beat the Bills? Nope. Think they'd beat the Chiefs? No. Think they'd beat the Colts again? Even though the Colts aren't playing well? Probably not. Folks, it's fleeting. But, like I said in the first half of the show, I've reached my tipping point with this team. Maybe change is needed. And maybe a hard reset's what this team needs. I don't know. We'll see, but we're still going to have you covered no matter what, right here at the Steel Curtain Network. That's all of our podcasts. Make sure you check out the Here We Go Steelers show with Kevin Smith and Brian Davis. Make sure you check out all of our podcasts. That's not just on YouTube, but also on the audio side. Search Steel Curtain Network wherever you get your podcast to find us. I think you'll enjoy it. It's kind of cathartic for me. You kind of get these feelings off my chest. But also make sure you check out steelcurtainnetwork.com, your one-stop shop and multiple stop shop throughout the day. We have multiple articles every single day, and it's free. Go to steelcurtainnetwork.com, go to the top of the page, click login, create an account, and you can kind of commiserate with other Steeler fans in the comment section. You can communicate with the author, and let's get through this together. But that does it for me. I'll be back on Wednesday. Make sure you're on the lookout for the mailbag tweet on Tuesday. He finishes up. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Wednesday. Go Steelers.